Does it make sense at all? You have the general chat, which is live chat. You have the personal chat, which is live chat with your just you. And last chat is what is the reason why Pando is talking. It could be a new follower, it could be a new command. And then check what has been told before, and then give a prompt based on the fact that you are a certain personality. Okay, like Rotten has been talking shit all time, so a bunch of shit comes in the bucket, but then sometimes the bucket is full. It will like dump it, and it will dump it in the main memory. Because if I change one thing here, do I need to like build up an entire new memory before I can see my change appearing? Do I need to wait? Do I need to have 20 conversations again? That kind of stuff. So that might be the reason why it will take a bit of time, or that might be the reason why we are trying to get as many people to help test as soon as possible. General, to refer to the general chat, say the last follower sucks. I don't know. Maybe you have a very sarcastic cat, right? And out of nowhere, just but if we can communicate and connect in the Discord our discoveries, that will mean a lot, because then we can learn from each other. We can share some examples. People can jump in on that, can try it, can improve it. And then, you know, we have an ongoing list of features that you can add. That will be a little bit of the goal. I'll not mute Pando, but I can say...
My favorite food is tuna stuffed catnip treats. I love telling jokes about them, like why did the kitty cross the litter box? To get to the other per side.
All right. Thank you for that amazing joke. So, lesson 101 with Pando's memory. I will try to do my best to explain our way of thinking and approaching the problem. And I'm not entirely sure if that's how we should do things, but I will give you an overview. And yeah, the gray areas are the problems that we are looking at right now. All the colored areas, they give Pando the context of its conversation. The light blue color behind it and on this side are the AI models that we use or going to use or might use. At the moment it's all haiku, but there is an optimization. That's but yeah, so when we say core chat experience, that is Pando being told like, hey, you are a pet that chats on Twitch, something like that, right? It's this little piece of the code, I think, the prompt. At least that's what I think. This is all sort of experimental. So then we have general chats, which is everybody's just talking on in the chat, like saying, hi, how are you? Something like that. I'll go to sleep. That is the general conversation that people are talking about, right? It keeps track of it. It makes a summary of that. That's what this is. It's part of the summary. Then it has personal recent chat. This is my individual conversation with the pet, or only my context, only my text in the chat, right? That's and this is the last chat message. So this is basically me talking to Pando and be like user message, something like that. This is basically what we're doing right now. If you would take Pando Memory out of context, the only thing that we are doing right now is this part, basically. This is how Pando reacts on live, right? It's doing the last messages as received. So you get a Twitch event, like a follower, like a new subscriber, and Pando looks at that and responds. And responds based on its personality. So the personality that you have given. Thank you for gifting us up. So let's continue the lesson. So when you get a Twitch event, you look at the last, like you look at the message. Then it compiles an answer based on what it needs to do. It needs to be a pet that chats on the. It needs to look at general chat, see if that's any relevant to the context. It needs to do the same thing for the personal chat, and it already might have a past conversation, which is what we call the summary, like a general summary, which is not working today, but basically it should, when it works fine, on the summary, it should remember the most important things, like the nickname that you have, pronouns that you have, those kind of things, right? Things that might not change a lot. These variables change by day to day, change by every stream, change by the game that you are winning or losing, or that kind of stuff. But this one is more permanent, I would say. Now, this is all context, and then that has been given to what you decide as a personality. So you want a sarcastic answer based on that context, or you want to provide a joke, or maybe your favorite dish, or it's very simple, I don't know, maybe it just needs your username and your last coffee order, that kind of stuff. That eventually determines what the pet answers. So that gives you an answer. Does that make sense? Is that a little bit like, does it make sense at all? You have the general chat, which is live chat. You have the personal chat, which is live chat with your just you. And last chat is what is the reason why Pando is talking. It could be a new follower, it could be a new command. And then check what has been told before, and then give a prompt based on the fact that you are a certain personality. Okay, this makes sense. Well, then what do we do with Nova? Nova is a AI model, like similar as Haiku is a large language model, but Nova is more affordable. It does content. It could do it like 6 times more affordable. But we have already discovered that Haiku is much better at making things fun and engaging. It's so that's not going to change. But this might create a certain context for which is 6 times more affordable, which means like the summary can maybe expand. It can keep more stuff of general chat. It can do more Twitch events, that kind of stuff. Yeah, we need to see if that's possible. And what else? Well, now we're going to other complicated stuff, which we usually call API limits. So what are API limits? We have a certain times that we want to communicate towards the system, the program. So there is, let's call it water. And I know it looks like a giant turd, but I could not find a lot of time to make a beautiful water model. So excuse me. But let's say this is water. It fills up the bucket. The bucket is memory. It says, oh, I have I have another. I've like Rotten has been talking shit all time, so a bunch of shit comes in the bucket. But then sometimes the bucket is full. It will like dump it, and it will dump it in the main memory, right? Yeah. For example, Twitch gives you 800 API calls. So there's a limit on what this bucket and amount of calls can do. So we need to make sure that this bucket empties regularly, but that's why we need to fill it up first. Limit would mean that there's too many buckets at the same time, or that they're overflowing, or not dumping it as quickly enough as possible, that kind of stuff. So this is the main memory, or the main summary. This is where we store most things, but it also means that we need to forget things.
Let's see what it says. Your curiosity will lead you to great discoveries. Meow.
So we need to flush the toilet if you sort of say. Giving it with fresh water, but also like removing the shit that doesn't matter, right? Because else we would have an endless bucket. It becomes larger and larger and larger and larger and larger, making it more complex and more tokens to run the program. So the last chats might like immediately fill the bucket, but then there's the general chat that does it in 2 steps. So it fills up the bucket first. Then when it becomes like full enough, the general chat gets poured into the big summary bucket. So it might update everyone's summary, I guess. I'm not sure. We need to see how that goes. Yeah. And this mostly comes down to making the summary very good and effective. Like, hey, this is what is important. This you can easily forget. So I should prioritize and always remember the name, for example, right? Because that's what's fun. But what you've done today might not be a permanent thing to remember. And making that distinction, that will be difficult, but I hope we can manage to do that. But it's not doing that right now. Even though let's say the memory is not even working at all, it's also not making a very good memory. I'm Dutch. So you can hear from my accent, I guess, but that's okay. I don't. All right. Does that make sense so far? Because this has taken quite some time for me to understand, but I had to like give it a visual picture to make sure that we can kind of sort of explain this, how it works and what the complexity is, because like making this smaller, making it larger, I don't know, making this a different let's do no. I want to make sure that we can like making this a different model, like a different database. Everything determines how your pet reacts. Making it very difficult to test, because if I change one thing here, do I need to like build up an entire new memory before I can see my change appearing? Do I need to wait? Do I need to have 20 conversations again? That kind of stuff. So that might be the reason why it will take a bit of time, or that might be the reason why we are trying to get as many people to help test as soon as possible. It needs to be in a better state than we are doing right now. It needs to be like fully transparent why certain things are not working. But yeah, I think we would do most of the heavy lifting.
Meow.
But then,
If you need a break, check out Break Games. Support Pando by buying it on Steam.
Hashtag ads. But yeah, that will eventually lead to a very simplistic way of making the memory work, because we were just going to make sure that you just go through the same UI that we have right now, but memory might add certain hashtags. Those hashtags will alter the prompt. For example, I've left out the tracking of followers, right? So even if I get new followers, Pando is not really like doing anything with it. That might also be the reason that I've broken the summary. So if that's the case, this might be very tricky to do, but that's another topic. Then we need to separate certain things or make sure that certain things are not, or giving an error code over here, like, hey, the prompt is not giving me a correct summary request, that kind of stuff. But eventually, like I said, as a user, you will just be like, hey, new follower has joined. You make a nickname of that follower, and that will be his nickname, something like that. You know, that kind of stuff. So, then there's a little bit of the road that's ahead. Yeah, I think we are making good progress though. But every day we will have a nice few hours of streaming, making a bit of progress and seeing how it goes. You're focusing mostly on the technology, then on optimization, and then at the end we will make it fun, right? We will make all the features, we will make all the new personalities, give it more use cases of why this would be a beneficial way of having it on your stream. But that's at the point that we can really control it, what it does. If you have any questions about this, let me know. So Rotten, he says, so when using Pando, I will have to submit prompts and stuff myself, like things for Pandos to say to followers. No, not necessarily. It's like when Pando interacts based on what your community is doing, it keeps track of it. You can set idle events if you want Pando just to react on certain things. Those idle events could be related at some point to the general chats, like this part, right? So you would write a prompt here. So you can go to idle events. You will be like general to refer to the general chat. Say the last follower sucks. I don't know. Maybe you have a very sarcastic cat, right? And out of nowhere, just says something bad, or the last username that chatted that needs to gift sub. I don't know. Maybe you have a very okay, terrible examples. But yeah, that's a little bit not possible right now, right? So, but you can make these new features yourself by writing the prompt and using using what you have. But I kind of know what most communities look like, so probably those will be some of the chat commands, right? But yeah, if it works, you can make this yourself. That's especially if you understand how it works. So we also need to provide that education. I guess most people, I maybe like 99%, just want the feature to be out of the box kind of thing, right? That's my assumption. But if we can communicate and connect in the Discord our discoveries, that will mean a lot, because then we can learn from each other. We can share some examples. People can jump in on that, can try it, can improve it. And then, we have an ongoing list of features that you can add. That will be a little bit of the goal.